Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Lauren. Yes, I'm filming another video at home. I have been to the allotment this week, but just to sort of pop there for the odd job or two. But the weather has been pretty much raining all week. It's getting nice and mild now, so that's good. There's no more of sort of the frosty, icy weather. But yeah, it has been pretty wet this week, so haven't been down there an awful lot, but I'm hopeful that the weekend is going to bring us some drier weather and I'll be able to get down there and film a little vlog for you ready for next week. But today's video is a video that I've been meaning to do for a few weeks now, and it's the top 10 things or items that I found most useful when taking on an allotment. So those of you who are seasoned allotmenters, you might not find this video quite as useful, but please feel free to pop anything down in the comment box that you found really useful when starting up your allotment or further on down the line of owning an allotment. But yeah, I've had my allotment since September now, so around 6 months. So I feel as though I'm getting the allotment quite established and ready to be able to plant for this growing season. So I feel like I've done all of the sort of rubbish jobs of getting the weeds down, doing the weed suppressing. I've made the majority of my beds. I've put a polytunnel up once and it fell back down in the wind. We won't discuss that one. And I've got another one ready to put up again. You know, compost bins, guttering, all of those things are done. So I feel like I'm ready now to recommend my top 10 items. And my first item on the list is a wheelbarrow. Now, the wheelbarrow, absolutely worth its weight in gold, literally. Yes, I have a hot pink wheelbarrow, but that doesn't take away from its usefulness at all. So I've used it not only to unload the tons of compost that I've had delivered, but also when I've had tree branches, horse manure, bark, all of those things, I've just been able to chuck it into the wheelbarrow and take it down to the plot. Even though it's not too far from where we park our cars or the deliveries are made, it really has made a massive difference to just not have to carry that weight. And also when it comes to things like filling up pots with water and taking those to the plot, I know that it will be a massive help with those as well. So it really is worth investing in a wheelbarrow. Now, one more thing that I wanted to say on that is my wheel on my wheelbarrow is the sort of rubber standard tyre. If you can get the type of tyre that is the non-puncture sort of tyre, then I've heard that they're really highly recommended, but I don't have that. I have the type that you have to blow up with air. It has gone flat once, but we've managed to pump it up again. So yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world, but if you've got those extra pennies, then get one of the non-puncture ones. I hear they're great. So next up on the list, a drill and screws. I don't have my own drill. I borrow one off my other half, and his screws as well. I have since bought my own screws, but that has just been absolutely priceless. I didn't even know how to use a drill before I got an allotment. I actually had no idea, because you have to do all the different bits to change the attachments. See, I'm useless. I know what I'm doing, I just can't talk about it. But yeah, so that's been so useful. I've put my guttering up, I've made myself a compost area, I've put beds together. You know, it's really, really been useful. I've been able to drill screws in my shed so that I can hang stuff up on it. So yeah, highly recommend a drill. Even if you don't have one of your own, then borrow one off of someone else if you can. I'm quite glad that I don't own a drill myself, because it means I have to bring it back from the plot every single time I use it, which means it's also not in my shed, because don't leave expensive things in your shed. And then up next on a similar note is twine. So I bought the sort of brown twine that is biodegradable, better for the environment. It's not made of plastic, essentially, and I found that really good for just adding when I was making my compost bins. So I had 3 pallets, one at the back and one either side. I found that really useful to be able to just tie those sides of the pallets together whilst I was drilling it in, and I've actually left it tied onto the pallets as well. I haven't taken it off, it's just added an extra bit of stability. Also, when it came to just holding my water butt against the shed, really useful. Honestly, it has a never-ending list of uses, so highly recommend getting a ball of twine. And on that note, pallets. I managed to find my pallets on Facebook Marketplace, a local company to me. It's a factory. They have more pallets than they can even get rid of. So you can literally just go there now and pick up the pallets, as many as you want, literally as many as you can fit in your car, and take them to the allotment. So I still have a little stack of pallets that I haven't used yet, but I'm sure they will get their use very soon. But as I say, I've made my compost bins out of them, and I'm also going to do some bits with them to support my new polytunnel that's going up. But yeah, definitely get pallets for free. There will be some going. Some people do try to sell them, but unless they're absolutely amazing condition and you can't find any for free at all, then yeah, I wouldn't pay for them. But also on that note, make sure that they are heat treated pallets. Some of them, I think it's majority the ones that are sort of painted blue, they're chemically treated, and you don't necessarily want those on your allotment. When it comes to leaching chemicals into the soil and that sort of thing, I don't know all of the ins and outs of that one, so don't quote me on it. But yeah, if you can get something heat treated, so it's got the little HT stamp in it, then definitely go for those ones. Next up, simply books. When I was taken on my allotment, I just found that I couldn't get enough of reading books about allotments and vegetable growing. I read a couple of Charles Dowding books, the month by month allotment. There's one by, I think it was Hugh that wrote it. It's the All You Can Eat in 3 Square Feet, I think it's called. But I borrowed a few from the library, and I purchased a few that I wanted to keep by to myself. Allotment month by month as well. That was another one that I borrowed from the library, made some notes on, and then sent it back once I was done with it. So yeah, absorb all of the information that you can. I would also say don't take all of it to heart. You don't have to take every single piece of information and use it, because some of it does contradict each other. But the stuff that you do think is going to work for you, trial it and see if it works, and then continue to use it if it does. But yeah, books, amazing source of information. And then similarly for my next point, is also YouTube and social media. So as much as there is loads of information in books, and as I say, you can get it from the library, those books for free. In the UK, might be different in other places, but yeah, otherwise YouTube and social media, there is tons of information on these social media platforms that people are just giving out for free. I was astounded when I found just how many gardeners and allotment plot holders were on YouTube giving out all of their tips and secrets, and some of them have been gardening for donkey's years, like longer than I've even been alive. These guys are a wealth of information, so it's well worth in your spare time watching a few YouTube videos, having a browse on social media. If it's something like Instagram, then you can search in the search box for certain phrases. It might be no dig or compost or seedlings. Might even be something about specific seedling growing. Someone will have done a post, I'm sure of it, about that specific topic that you're looking for. So definitely utilize that free source of information. Next up, again, something else that you should be able to get for free, cardboard. Particularly if you're doing the no dig method, get your hands on cardboard. Again, I found Facebook so useful. You can put posts up asking if anybody knows where you can get a stash of free cardboard. I had a neighbour in the next street who had just moved house, and they said, we've got loads of cardboard. I went to their house. I was like, yes please, can I have it all? And they even had an old box from, I think it was like a dining table, outside their house by the dustbin. And because it was a really flat box, she hadn't offered it to me, because she was like, oh, I didn't think you could put anything in it. You can't really put an awful lot in it because it was so thin. So, but it was absolutely ginormous. So I was like, no, I want it for my allotment. She's like, take it, please. You know, I was doing her a favour for taking all of her cardboard when she'd just moved house, but actually she was doing me a favour. So one man's trash is another man's treasure. 100% when it comes to owning an allotment. I am like a womble. I will take whatever you've got going. So yeah, again, cardboard, particularly if you're doing no dig. And then on that note, compost. I started off again on Facebook Marketplace. I found a girl who lives locally to me. She's got horses and she had some really decent, well-rotted manure. And that was what I started with. It was a couple of pound a bag. And every time I drove past, I could just grab a couple of bags of compost, put some money in her honesty box. I was doing her a favour by getting rid of it. She was doing me a favour by allowing me to have it. So yeah, that was how I started. And then once I'd saved up a little bit, I did go and order some compost or well-rotted manure in a bulk order, and somebody came and delivered it to me. But again, it was just sort of a local farmer, had horses and was able to rot it down on his farm for a couple of years and then deliver it. So that was fantastic as well. I think off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly what I paid. I think it was £80 for 2 tons. It was something like that. But yeah, compost for my no dig beds. Even if you are digging into your beds, I'm sure compost will do it good. So yeah, it's worth bearing in mind that some people will give compost away for free, but I think the majority of people have cottoned on now to the fact that they can actually make a bit of money back off of it, and so it's worth doing. But again, you shouldn't be paying too much for it, particularly if you're just starting off with small bags, a couple of pound here and there. Definitely worth doing. And then I did also pick up some fresher horse manure from another local farm, and I've just got that in my compost bins and I'll rot that down myself. So number 9 on the list, I think, is a camera. Now it can be as simple as a camera on your phone. It doesn't need to be anything sort of fancy. But it's just taking pictures from right on that first day when you go and view your allotment. I'm so glad I took pictures that day, purely so that you can look back. And also when I'm at home, I might think, oh, is there enough of a gap in that space to do this, that and the other? You know, in your mind you think, oh, I'm not sure if there is, but actually when you look on a picture, yes, there definitely is, or no, there definitely isn't. So yeah, definitely worth taking pictures of absolutely everything, just so you can refer back to it for when you're planning, and also just so you can refer back to it and see what a good job you've done so far. That's really motivated me, is I've put all of my allotment pictures into a folder on my phone, and I will simply just scroll through sometimes just to reassure myself that I have actually done quite a lot of work on that plot already. My final point is just notepads or spreadsheets. So you've got to through all of the other things, you know what you're doing, because you've read your books, you've looked on YouTube, social media, etc. You've got your main bulk of your tools. Obviously there's tons of other tools that will come later down the line. So when it comes to, I don't know, needing to hoe over your bed because there's some weeds on it, you know, those sort of tools will come later down the line, but this is really getting you started. And now that you've got that wealth of information, you've got your compost, you've got your cardboard, all of those things, you can then plan your allotment. So you've got your pictures of your allotment, you might have measured it as well, but plan your seeds, plan what beds you're going to use what for, where you're going to put your beds if you don't have any in when you take the plot on, but literally just write everything down. I sat and I went through a whole list that I found on Google of all of the fruits and vegetables that you can grow in England, and I wrote down all of the ones that I enjoy eating or I want to try if I haven't tried them already, and those are the ones that I'm going to grow. If I don't like it, I'm not growing it. But yeah, a notepad, simply notepad and a pen can do the trick. Or if you have access to a laptop with something like Excel, pop it into a spreadsheet. I didn't think I'd ever be a spreadsheet gardener, but I definitely am, and I love it. So I've gone through and I've done all of the months of the year and then what I'm doing in those months. So what I'm planting, what sort of seeds I'm starting, what I'm planting out, what I'm harvesting. All of that is in a spreadsheet. I can filter it to the month and I know what I need to do in that month. And at the end of the month, I can check that I've done everything that I wanted to do. But yeah, that's it really. And notepad, you can do exactly the same. Obviously you can't filter it, but you could do a different month on each page and just flick to that page if you wanted to. But yeah, so that's it. I've tried to keep it really simple and I've tried to keep it really low budget for you, because starting an allotment can be super expensive, but you can also do it more cheap, more on the cheap side. And obviously with cost of living, all of that sort of thing, we want to try and keep things as affordable as possible. And also, for those of us that are just growing our own food to eat it, to save the cost of buying it in the supermarket, you do want to keep your costs down. Obviously, there's some people who will invest in massive polytunnels and grow light systems and all of those sort of things because they want to grow the biggest and the best. They might want to show it, that sort of thing. But yeah, for those of us that just simply want to grow their own food to eat it, hopefully that's a really cost-effective way of doing it, with those top 10 items. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I will catch you on the next one. Feel free to leave any comments down below, something else that you found useful if I've missed it. And yeah, otherwise I will see you on the next one. Bye.